Hello everyone, my name is Ritesh Pandey and in this class, this video, we'll talk about a very significant reaction mechanism. We'll talk about nucleophilic substitution and two of its most major mechanisms which are called SN1 and SN2. Now SN1, SN2 right away are abbreviated forms of unimolecular nucleophilic substitution and bimolecular nucleophilic substitution. That is, the difference, their nomenclature is based upon rate kinetics. And right away, we'll want to learn these two mechanisms from the difference of the rate kinetics involved. We have known how to draw, how to represent the rate law expression, derive rate law expression from our discussions in chemical kinetics. And trust me, right away, the difference between SN1, SN2 and the corresponding mechanism and the nature of products is going to be derived from a study of the rate kinetics. Now suppose there are two reactions. Say you have a methyl halide treated with a nucleophile, and say this nucleophile is substituting the halide. This is substituting the halide, and the rate of the process is found to be proportional to the concentration of the halide as well as the nucleophile. So this is proportional to halide to the power 1, nucleophile to the power 1. So the overall order of the reaction is 1 plus 1, 2, and this is when you call it SN2. This capital N in the subscript is nucleophilic substitution, and 2 determines its order or molecularity. It's bimolecular nucleophilic substitution. When do you call it bimolecular? You call it bimolecular when the rate depends both upon the concentration of the halide as well as the nucleophile. We know this as the rate law expression. And it's always obtained experimentally. Another situation could be when suppose you have a tertiary halide. And this tertiary halide with a nucleophile is giving you a product. Now this time the rate kinetics would suggest that the rate is proportional to the concentration of the halide only. It's proportional to the concentration of halide only, or you can say its concentration of the nucleophile doesn't matter. The rate is independent of the concentration of the nucleophile. You can say with nucleophile, with respect to nucleophile, the order is 0. So order is 1 with respect to the halide, and this is when you will want to call it SN1. This 1 is going to stand for order 1 or unimolecular nucleophilic substitution. So first of all, whether the process belongs to type 1 or type 2, depends upon the rate kinetics, is certainly derived from the standpoint of rate kinetics. Rate law expression is easy to obtain experimentally. अगर न्यूक्लियोफाइल के ऊपर में रेट डिपेंड करता है तो SN2, अगर इस पे डिपेंड नहीं करता है then SN1. This is the corresponding rate law expression of SN1 and SN2. And we'll also want to draft the mechanism. Even the mechanism of SN1 SN2 is going to be drafted in a manner so that the corresponding rate law expressions could be explained. Now certainly in chemical kinetics, we'll want to begin with SN1. And certainly in chemical kinetics, I had given you a very nice analogy. If you recall, in chemical kinetics, I had given you an analogy that suppose, and it's a very nice analogy. I'll just quickly repeat it for you. Suppose you have a system of interconnected flasks. Where the radii of the connectors are different. A simple experiment to imagine, not even conduct. You are pouring sand from above, and sand is coming out. It's a very simple analogy. Now the interconnectors have different radii. Now suppose if this is the thinnest interconnector, if this is the thinnest one, then naturally the rate at which sand comes out will depend only upon the radii of this connector. It's a simple story to understand. It's a simple picture to imagine that the rate at which sand comes out will depend only upon this radii इसको कम बेसी करने से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, ये थोड़ा बढ़ाते ही रेट बढ़ जाएगा। सिमिलरली in a multi-step reaction, the overall rate of the process depends only upon the slow step. That is why the slow step is called the rate determining step. The overall rate depends upon the slow step. The slow step is called the rate determining step. And trust me, only the reagents which feature in the slow step, which work for the slow step, only those reagents will find its place in the rate law expression. If a particular reagent doesn't find place in the slow step, if a reagent is working only in the fast step, then naturally उसके साथ order 0 हो सकता है. So while taking up the mechanism of SN1, we'll keep this in mind. While taking up the mechanism of SN1, we'll keep this in mind, and the mechanism would be step 1, which is a slow rate determining step, where the nucleophile doesn't come in, where the nucleophile is not involved. The nucleophile is not involved in the slow step. The slow step is only about the halide. Now with this going away, naturally a carbocation will be formed. So in SN1 we propose a carbocation is formed. And if this is the carbocationic intermediate, the nucleophile might come in the fast step. I told you, something featuring in the fast step will not be featuring in the rate law expression. तो यहाँ पर nucleophile के साथ order 0 है, because nucleophile comes in the fast step. It's depending only upon the rate of Rx, because only this is involved in the slow step. So it's a two-step process. Occurring via a carbocation, and naturally this intermediate is a carbocation, and naturally the nucleophile is working in the fast step. So this is how the mechanism of SN1 is drafted. Two-step process. Step 1 is the slow step. So naturally only this is featuring in the rate law expression. न्यूक्लियोफाइल के ऊपर में रेट डिपेंड नहीं करता है, न्यूक्लियोफाइल के साथ ऑर्डर 0 है, बिकॉज न्यूक्लियोफाइल फास्ट स्टेप में आता है. On similar lines, we'll want to talk about the mechanism of SN2. Now this time for SN2, if I have, this was for SN1, for SN2, if I have to explain for rate dependent both on Rx as well as nucleophile, if I have to explain for the rate depending both upon Rx and nucleophile, I'll certainly have to bring both of them. In the slow step. Now both of them could be brought in the slow step, both of them could be involved in the slow step only if it's a one-step process. And naturally this is what is proposed as the mechanism. It's a one-step process. Where naturally both are involved. It's a one-step process where both are involved and both are featuring in the rate law expression. It's a one-step process. No carbocation is formed. And every time a carbocation is missing, every time an intermediate is missing, if it's not giving you a proper intermediate, if in a reaction mechanism there is no proper intermediate, it's supposed to happen via a so-called transitory state. It's called a transitory state. Now, how do you draw a transitory state? In transitory state, you draw the bonds which are about to be made or about to be broken. This is a bond which is about to be made. It's a bond which is about to be broken. And you believe in SN2. It's a one-step process. Where no carbocationic intermediate is found, and this is called the so-called transitory state. I'll certainly give you an elaborate picture when we see the tetravalency of carbon, but right now the bond breaking and the bond being made, making and breaking of bond is happening in the same step. At molecular level, we suggest that the amount of energy required to break this bond is eventually drawn by the energy which is released when this bond is being formed. And as I told you, SN1 is supposed to be a two-step process where the nucleophile acts in the fast step and is naturally out of the rate law expression. And here, to keep both of them in the rate law expression, in SN2, to keep both of them in the rate law expression, both are in the only slow or rate determining step. There is no second step, it's all happening in one step. That is the only slow step, rate determining step, and naturally दोनों का concentration will affect the rate of the process. दोनों का concentration will affect the rate of the process. We'll want to know a few more facts about SN1 and SN2, and right away we might want to go into a comparative analysis. We might want to go into a comparative analysis because trust me, SN1 and SN2 are like two mechanistic pathways. SN1 and SN2 are suppose two different pathways that a halide or a substrate can take to undergo nucleophilic substitution. So certainly if SN1 and SN2 are two competing pathways, so many times a factor favoring SN1 would kind of hinder SN2 or vice versa. If these are two possible mechanistic pathways, या तो SN1 से होगा या तो SN2 से होगा. हम लोग सबसे पहले derive करेंगे rate kinetics से. Then we propose a particular mechanism and we'll see corresponding to the mechanism various electronic and steric factors will be affecting the rate of an SN1 or SN2. And I repeat, because these are two possible alternate methods, factors which might help SN1 would prevent SN2 and vice versa. So ideally we'll want to go into a comparative analysis. It's not like every factor is going to work in favor of SN1 or SN2. There could be some factors, which would be common to both. We'll talk about it. But it's ideal to talk in the comparative analysis manner because that would be, the right way to go about it. Now, suppose we compare SN1 and SN2. We compare SN1 and SN2. We have known the mechanism to some extent. I repeat, the mechanism has been proposed keeping the rate law expression in mind, and deliberately we want to go into a comparative analysis. Now, right away SN1 and SN2, right away SN1 and SN2 would look like rate is equal to some rate constant Rx only because with nucleophile the order is 0, and this is some rate is equal to K Rx as well as the nucleophile, both to the order 1. That's a bimolecular reaction. So here the order or molecularity is 1. Here naturally the order or molecularity is 2. It's supposed to be a two-step process. It's supposed to be a two-step process where you have a carbocationic intermediate. Whereas this is supposed to be a one-step process. Where there is no carbocationic intermediate. There is a transitory state. Now this is how the transitory state will look like. This is a more elaborate picture. Where suppose this is the outgoing nucleophile, which I had taken as X, and suppose this is the incoming nucleophile, which is Nu. So this is how a transitory state will look like. The difference between intermediate and transitory state is an intermediate could be studied. If it's very stable, it could even be isolated, it could even be extracted. इंटरमीडिएट के ऊपर काम कर सकते हैं, इंटरमीडिएट को आइसोलेट कर सकते हैं, एक्सट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं अगर बहुत स्टेबल है तो. ट्रांजिटरी स्टेट इज ओनली द पिक्चर हाउ द इलेक्ट्रॉनिक configurations or the electronic changes are happening. It's absolutely hypothetical. Transitory state can never be isolated. It's only going to give you the journey how a nucleophile is displacing X in just one step and no intermediate is there. So transitory state can never be isolated. Transitory state is only going to give you a hint of the journey undergone. And a transitory state, this carbon would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arms. So naturally it would not be very stable. We do not talk about the stability of transitory state. We talk about the stability of intermediate. We talk about the stability of the intermediate. And we are told the stability of intermediate for carbocation is 3 degree more than 2 degree more than 1 degree. Benzyl allyl have extra stability. So benzylic more than allylic more than 3 degree more than 2 degree more than 1 degree. This might be the reactivity. This might be the order of reactivity towards SN1. This might be the order of reactivity towards SN1. I've told you umpteen times, the reactivity of a halide, the reactivity of a compound will depend upon the stability of the intermediate. The reactivity of the compound will depend upon the stability of the intermediate. You know, in SN1 the intermediate is carbocation. So certainly, if this is the order of stability of carbocation, the reactivity towards SN1 would be benzylic allylic more than 3 degree, more than 2 degree, more than 1 degree. Here the reverse will happen. 1. A carbocation is not formed. 2. This carbon has 5 arms. For a smooth formation of a transitory state, transitory state looks pentavalent. Transitory state, there are 5 arms around this carbon. So naturally, the factor at play would be the steric factor. यहाँ पे steric factor की बात करते हैं, यहाँ पे electronic factor की बात करते हैं. Remember, every time we talk about a carbocation, 3 degree more plus I effect. Benzylic allylic, you have resonance, mesomeric effect. So this order of stability is explained by electronic factors, inductive effect, mesomeric effect, and the order of stability is benzylic allylic more than 3 degree, more than 2 degree, more than 1 degree. Out here, it's the steric factors playing its part. एक तो अगर ब्रांचिंग ज़्यादा होगा तो कार्बोकेटाइन ज़्यादा स्टेबल होगा, SN1 will be favored. 2, if it's pretty branched, then having 5 arms around this carbon is sterically difficult. SN1 होने के लिए to happen via SN2 होने के लिए to happen via SN2, it needs to pass through this transitory state, and for this transitory state to be sterically formed, ये transitory state को आसानी से sterically बनने के लिए you will want these groups to be smaller. Ideally, all of them hydrogen when it's a methyl halide. So remember, the example which I took for SN2 was for a methyl halide, and the example I had taken for SN1 was a tertiary halide, very deliberately. So transitory state will be sterically formed. It will be easier to form a carbon with 5 arms around it if the arms are smaller, preferably hydrogen. So naturally, a 1 degree more than 2 degree more than 3 degree, a 1 degree more than 2 degree more than 3 degree, a 1 degree more than 2 degree more than 3 degree will be the reactivity towards SN2. This is the transitory state, and a transitory state is easier to form. If the groups are smaller. A transitory state is easier to form if the groups are smaller. So in SN1, it's the electronic factors. In SN1, it's the electronic factors and the stability of carbocation which decides the rate of reactivity. Benzylic allylic more than 3 degree, more than 2 degree, more than 1 degree. Out here, smaller the groups, more is the ease of formation of transitory state. Smaller the groups, more are the chances of SN2. Eventually we say 3 degree में हमेशा SN1 ही होता है, 3 degree में हमेशा SN1 ही होता है, 1 degree में ऑलमोस्ट हमेशा SN2 होता है, बहुत रेयरली SN1 होता है, 3 degree में लेकिन कभी SN2 नहीं होता, 3 degree में हमेशा SN1 होता है. कार्बोकेटाइन स्टेबल है, ट्रांजिटरी स्टेट बनाना मुश्किल है. 3 डिग्री में हमेशा SN1 होगा, 1 डिग्री में जनरली SN2 होता है. 2 डिग्री SN1 एंड SN2 दे compete more realistically. 2 डिग्री में the competition between SN1 and SN2 is more realistic, more intense, but 3 degree SN1 is right away favored, 1 degree SN2 is right away favored. For some reason which I am going to tell you sooner than later, benzylic allylic में SN2 is also good. Benzylic allylic, you know about benzylic allylic, and in benzylic allylic SN2 is good as well. So it's not like on all fronts SN1 and SN2 are going to be absolutely opposite in nature. Some factors are going to be common to them. This is one of them. Benzylic or allylic halide, SN1 is feasible, even SN2 is feasible. Benzylic allylic halides in general are reactive towards both SN1 के लिए भी, SN2 के लिए भी. I'm going to talk about it when the time is right. What's also common is about halides which are very less reactive. You know a couple of halides, vinylic and arylic. vinylic and arylic which are very less reactive. So vinylic and arylic which are very less reactive, both for SN1 and SN2, you'll see what is vinylic. This is vinylic when it's bonded to the double bond, vinylic. What is arylic? When it's bonded to the ring. So vinylic, arylic are very less reactive, towards both SN1 and SN2, So this is less reactive both for SN1 and SN2, and this is common to both of them. Although we are conducting a comparative analysis, this point is common to both of them. Vinylic and arylic. Double bond का next वाला was allylic. This was allylic, and this is benzylic. Ring का next वाला. So next to the ring is benzylic. This is benzylic. Next to the ring is benzylic. On the ring it's arylic. Next to double bond it's allylic, and on the double bond it's vinylic. So allylic and benzylic are reactive for both. They are reactive towards both. And vinylic and arylic are very less reactive towards both SN1 and SN2. Now why are they less reactive? They are less reactive because they'll resonate. And when you draw the resonating structures, or particularly the resonance hybrid, you will have double bond character here. All right, so you'll have double bond character here. So this double bond character, DBC, because of resonance, there will be some double bond character in the hybrid. These are very fundamental facts. And you need to know it right from the beginning in general organic chemistry. It's not something you learn in alkyl halides. You start knowing about it right, in general organic chemistry. Very basic fundamental facts. Arylic, vinylic are very less reactive. Allylic, benzylic are pretty reactive. They are very highly reactive. SN1, SN2 दोनों में allylic, benzylic बहुत reactive होता है, और vinylic, arylic SN1, SN2 दोनों में बहुत कम reactive होता है. So these are like points which are common to SN1, SN2. Another point which comes to my mind is for different halides. So iodide more reactive than bromide, more reactive than chloride. And certainly fluorides are least reactive. We talk less about fluorides because fluorides are difficult to work with. But iodide more reactive than bromide, more reactive than chloride. This is again common to both SN1 and SN2. This is reactivity towards SN1 and SN2. This is reactivity towards SN1 and SN2. Iodides, the bond length will be more than bromides, which will be more than chloride. Simple, moving down the group, bond length increases, bond energy decreases. The bond is easier to break, and this bond breaks in the slow step. Note it down somewhere. The breakage of the bond, and a difference in bond energy. The breakage of the bond and a difference in bond energy will reflect in the reactivity or rate towards SN1, SN2. It's all rate here. Remember in the last class, I told you about nucleophile, nucleophilicity, SN1, SN2, rate, kinetics. So a difference in bond energy, please mind this particular statement. A difference in bond energy will be reflected in a difference in the rate only when that bond is broken in the slow step. And you will see that this bond is broken in the slow step. It's broken in the slow step both in SN1 and SN2. It's broken in the slow step both in the SN1 and SN2. SN2, it's a one-step process only, so naturally this is the bond which is broken there. SN1, it was the first step where this bond was broken. So a difference in bond energy will be reflected in the rate or reactivity, because this is being broken both in SN1 and SN2 in the slow step, and again this point is common to both. This point is common to both. A bridgehead carbon. A bridgehead carbon. What is a bridgehead carbon? If it's a bicyclo compound, these two are called bridgehead carbons. These two are called bridgehead carbons. Now, if you have a halide where the halogen is attached to this bridgehead carbon, so this is again going to be a common point. This is again going to be a common point. A halide like this, where halogen is attached to the bridgehead. This is very less reactive. This is very less reactive towards both SN1 and SN2. It's very less reactive towards both SN1 and SN2. There are going to be so many more parameters which will affect SN1, SN2, involving the nature of the nucleophile, the nature of the leaving group, temperature, the nature of the solvent is going to be a very important discussion. And then again we'll see the difference between SN1 and SN2 when it comes to regiochemistry and stereochemistry. Now, all those discussions are going to be, pretty amazing from the standpoint of learning organic chemistry, and would also be very wonderful, to solve questions. So, looking forward to learning more about SN1 and SN2 in the upcoming classes. But I think the information which I shared with you till this point is going to help you in solving the assignments. And at your end, you'll want to keep reading about SN1 and SN2. It's hardly the beginning. I've told you a few things about SN1 and SN2. Certainly, a lot needs to be learnt and taught. But we'll have a lot of value addition done in the upcoming classes. I kind of wanted to get you started with this topic, and I repeat, help you a bit in solving the questions in the assignments to follow. We'll carry on with this topic for a pretty long period of time. And before that, I would have wanted you to learn a lot by yourself from the textbooks around. So this much for the time being. See you in the next class. Thank you so much.